Hello everybody and welcome to WhatCulture Gaming. I'm Josh, joined today by Ben Roy Turner.
Hello there, and I'm wearing a hat because we've got some hat news.
We certainly do, mate. We were just recording a podcast and we came out to the news that there's going to be a new Indiana Jones game from Bethesda and Machine Games. They released a little video and a follow-up tweet. Ben Roy, I'm confused, but I know we're both excited. Can you tell me more about what's actually going on?
Out of nowhere, Bethesda's just struck like, oh, by the way, what time is it? Oh, you're almost finished. Indiana Jones game, by the way, which we've not seen in, I think, 15 plus years, unless there's been some sort of freeware stuff on there. They tweeted out a little trailer, which is 33 seconds long. And I think there's probably some. I'm looking at it now. There's probably some text around here that I'm missing through. The music is like sort of like you can feel the Indiana Jones like underneath. You can feel sort of like John Williams sort of like, you know, cranking up his sort of like orchestral sort of motif. Yeah. But it's probably not going to be him because I think he's almost fully retired now. And then they followed that up straight away with a new Indiana Jones game with an original stories in development. From our studio, Machine Games. Machine Games, known for doing the Nazi killing. So they're killing Nazis.
Yep.
Is Dr. Jones... We don't know that there's going to be Nazis in this one. There were Nazis in 3, but they're in 4. Who knows? 4 was boring.
I don't know.
Machine Games are back, and Dr. Jones, hopefully it's Harrison Ford, by the way, is going to come back and shoot some Nazis along with Lucasfilm Games, which I still hate that name. Just LucasArts was so much better. And they're excited to share the news, and good old Todd Howard's on board, because if you like me and you watch every interview of Todd Howard, you can, especially now in this era when he's at home, you can see his plethora of just Indiana Jones memorabilia behind him. Either that's always there, or he was secretly teasing it back when Phil Spencer bought him.
Well, that's you know what, Ben Roy, when it comes to sort of these big developers and these big publishers leaving hints just in the background of their working from home shots, like, it's impressive. There was a Xbox Series X and Xbox Series S just there in the back of Phil Spencer's, videos for a long time. So maybe he has been doing this intentionally to tease this potential game. Obviously, it raises a lot of questions. Like you said, Machine Games is on it, best known for doing the most recent Wolfenstein games. It's in association with Lucasfilm Games, and that's fascinating because that was just announced that Lucasfilm Games had been coming back. It used to be known as LucasArts, and funnily enough, before then they were originally Lucasfilm Games, but they've been dead for a long time. They've been lying dormant since EA picked up the rights to Star Wars and Disney bought Lucasfilm and everything back in 2012. They haven't really done much, but they've just announced that they're coming back, and this has come hot on the heels of that. I didn't expect an announcement of this caliber so soon, and it's just so completely out the blue that we have so many questions. Obviously, first and foremost, the developer themselves, Machine Games, known primarily for first-person shooters recently. Yes, they are a good fit, like you said, because they have made games about just absolutely obliterating Nazis in games, so then you transfer that to Dr. Jones doing the same thing. But, presumably, I can't imagine that you have an Indiana Jones game without it being third person. I don't know how that kind of adventuring would work from a first-person perspective, I don't know, would you take a first-person Indiana Jones game? I don't know.
Look, I'll take any piece of Indiana Jones media at this point, especially after Crystal Skull. The only way I could think about it is if they did that weird hybrid that Activision went through with the Bond games, where it was first person, and then he would come out to punch people or have a chat in third person. So unless they did that, but it's going to be a third person action adventure. And look, Tomb Raider came along and took the mantle, and then along came Uncharted and Nathan Drake, and then Tomb Raider returned, and then now Uncharted came back, and then now Indiana Jones, the originator of this style of just media we've seen, has come back to claim his throne, and I think it's going to be akin to them, but probably more like basically Uncharted set back in that era, but a lot of punching, hopefully a lot more whipping, and also if you think about it, if it was a Naughty Dog game, they perfected their rope physics. They'll just change that rope to a whip, and then here we go. We're all set. But now, I think, sorry to jump in, but I think you can do that, and I think there's just so much you can do with time period stuff that we always hear about in the Uncharted stuff. And when we go to a cabin and you're almost there, I think you can do it here, and we can also have some supernatural stuff because and the Ark of the Covenant, stuff like that. There's just so much possibility, and I'm here for it. I'm hyped.
Well, it's fascinating. I'm sure we did a podcast like last year when we were talking about which franchises do we want to see kind of like done justice in video game form. And Indiana Jones came up a lot then. It's such a strange one because like Aliens, it's been so influential on the video game landscape. Like all of the things that you just name dropped there, Uncharted, Tomb Raider, all of those action adventure games have taken huge cues from Indiana Jones that you imagine in a way Indiana Jones is going to come back in and sort of just pick up where they left off from an official kind of point of view, you know, swap that Uncharted rope out for a whip, you know, go back to this time period and really dive into these kind of, you know, obviously like realistic but then inherently B-movie / supernatural plots. The fact that it's going to be an original story is really fascinating because it's like, yeah, what you said, where does this pick up? Are we picking up with an Indiana Jones in his prime? Are we picking up with a slightly older Indiana Jones? Are we somewhere between Raiders of the Lost Ark, the third one, what is the third one, Ben Roy? The Last Crusade and Crystal Skull. Are we somewhere in between that time period? I don't know, but it's just cool and something unexpected. And I guess the final note we should end on, the final note of speculation is this going to be an Xbox exclusive? Obviously, Bethesda has been bought out by Microsoft, and the big question is, which of their upcoming games are going to be exclusive to the Xbox platform? You'd imagine most of them. I think when we were talking about this way back when it was first announced, we kind of assumed that if there were going to be any that remained multi-platform, it would be the likes of Fallout or Elder Scrolls. We assumed that games from Machine Games or Arcane or Tangle Gameworks or whatever would be exclusive to the console. So has Microsoft just got themselves this massive brand that they can attach to their console? It sort of makes sense. There's been no official confirmation here, but I imagine that's where it's leaning.
What was the last? I'm gonna put you on the spot here. Sorry. What was the last licensed game that was exclusive to one platform that I?
Spider-Man. Spider-Man.
See, yeah, but this. Yeah, I guess so. I guess I just get drowned in all the Marvel stuff, and I'm pretty ignorant to it now. But yeah, that is probably that. Yeah, they could do that, couldn't they? I think it might be multi-platform, but then again, I have them both. So, and especially after this very precisely placed deal that went down like a month before. Was it a week before the pre-orders? A day before? I was like, yeah, I can't
really
miss out on some of these titles. Yeah, so. I wouldn't have expected it to be that, but then there you go. We haven't had an Indiana Jones game, I think, since Lego Indiana Jones, and that was before I went to university.
Yeah, it's funny. You were like, we haven't had an Indiana Jones game in 15 years. And my brain was like, Ben Roy, we had some on the Xbox 360, but that was ages ago now. That was a long time ago. And yeah, it's an exciting time, obviously. There's so much is still up in the air. We've only had that one teaser trailer with the score, with the fedora, with the whip. We've got an announcement of the developer. We know that Todd Howard's going to be involved. We don't know if it's going to be exclusive. I guess the big sort of mystery is how far along is it in development? Is it just starting? Is this Machine Games' like next project that they're just trying to hype up right now due to the deal? Or is it something that's been in the works for a long time? And maybe if it has been in the works for a long time, that might result in it being multi-platform. But to be fair, all we've got is this like 30-second clip and then wild speculation. I know you're dying to get something in. Would you have any final thoughts on this delicious project?
I think that Machine Games must have finished at the very end of Wolfenstein 3. How long has it been since Wolfenstein 2? Like, I played Wolfenstein 2 before I met you, Josh, and we've known each other like years ago now. So I think Wolfenstein 2 is on the very end of that, and they're going to be picking up the Indiana Jones game. Probably, they're working on it now because we've seen that little bit of the trailer there. But I think this is the next game, and this means that Wolfenstein is going to go to sleep for a while or go to someone else. And I honestly reckon this might be a passion project for Todd, and maybe if it just got greenlit after this big deal, who knows? Like, things are up in the air. And I'm so glad that Disney with their Lucas properties aren't just like, not that I hate EA, but at least they're spreading it out, and then we can see what other people can do, and then maybe see, well, this doesn't have loot boxes. Oh, this just has Luke Ark of the Covenants just dropping down instead.
Yeah.
No, I'm happy to see.
No, don't give them any ideas. Don't give them any ideas, man. No.
I'm happy to see that. I'm happy to see the expanse of that. And yeah, I just really want to see Indiana. And one last question before we go, Josh. Will Harrison Ford be Indiana Jones or not? Well, do you think they can crank him up out of his grumpy old home and crash on a plane with him in?
Well, that's it. I don't know, man. He seems to like flying planes and having the time of his life to do it. He is, and I think that is quite good timing because that is apparently officially going to start filming finally soon under James Mangold. So it's interesting timing, and if he is back for that, you might be able to get him back for this. You know, Lucasfilm Games seems like they're going all in on this idea, and I love that they're back too and broadening their horizons, not just having these EA licensed Star Wars games. They're going to all of their franchises and trying to apparently do them justice. It's an interesting time, it's an interesting start to the year, but I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. Are you hyped for a Indiana Jones game, or are you a bit worried this means that we won't see another Wolfenstein for a little while now? Let us know, and while you're down there, could you please give us a like, share, subscribe, and head over to WhatCulture.com for more list news like this every single day. Even if you don't know, I've been Josh, joined today by the biggest Indiana Jones fan, Ben Roy Turner, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Don't look at the Twitter comments on that thread, it's horrible.
No, just don't look at the Twitter comments, just leave it there, Ben Roy. Bye-bye.